Hiya. I have been asked by quite a few people how I do my LinkedIn videos where I create those short clips to promote my upcoming podcast. And I thought since I have to do one for the next one anyway, that it might be a good idea for me to record how I do it so that you can get an idea about how quick and easy it can be done. So the few applications that I use to record my podcast and to create those clips are Zoom to record my conversation. Davinci Resolve is the video editing tool. It's free, by the way. The version that I'm using, it's a free editing tool that I use to create those clips. So over here is Otter.ai, which I use to transcribe my videos. So let's get to it, right? Once you have done your recording with using Zoom, what you might see is a few files. Let me just talk through it here. You can see that if you configure it so, it creates an audio only file. It can create a gallery type recording. It can also create a speaker only recording. What I've done separately is I've used my phone to create an intro for the podcast itself. And this is a profile picture that I've taken from my guest that I'm going to use to create my Canva thumbnail picture for YouTube. So let's get to it. If you subscribe to Otter, one of the things that you can do is you can import your file. So you click on import audio, you click on browse, and you can drag and drop your file here. Once you've done that, it will start consuming and processing the file, and then you can get an email as soon as it's done processing. So as an example, a 3-hour training session or a recording might take about an hour for it to consume, process, and notify me that it's been done. So here is my podcast. And one of the really cool things that I like about Otter is that if you upload a video file, it will turn it into an audio, which you can then listen as you read along. So as an example, I know this is incorrect. The name of my podcast on the payroll, which I think is really clever, but I know some people may think it's a bit troll. So have a listen.
Hi, Maz. Welcome to On the Payroll, my podcast. How are you today?
And then what I can do is I can click edit and I can change it here, right? There you go. So that's something that I can do. And then so on and so forth. I can go on and I can modify the transcription. So I have this full-length podcast. What I want to do is I want to grab a clip. And I know that my guest has talked about developers and how to deal with them. And a couple of things I can do. If I know exactly where it is, I can go straight to it, or I can do a quick search here and I can search and hit. There you go. Developer doesn't need soft skills, and I know that's what I want to go to. I click on there and it will hopefully take me right to where I want to be. So what I really want is maybe I want to I want to make this into a clip. People until here. And that's fine. There you go. And that's the clip that I want. So let me highlight that. And I know it's from 29, 24, thereabouts. Okay. So one of the really cool things about Otter is that I can export this. I can export the text in two ways. One is a Word document. So I can put that on my website, and one as an SRT file that is the subtitles that will go along with the video. So let's do SRT and see how it goes. It will export it, and that's the SRT file. So we've got the subtitles and we've got the videos. Now let's look at how we put things together. I launch Davinci Resolve. And this is how it looks like. Actually, it's got thumbnails, but I don't want you to see the thumbnails because it's really messy. When you start Davinci Resolve, and version 17 is what we've got now, it will start with Untitled Project. Click on New Project, and let's call it Mars YouTube Demo. Create that. And I generally begin with this. This is the editing tool. You click on here, and I can now import my media. So I can now import my media. I can import the podcast view. That's what I want. And I can import the transcription, the Otter transcription. So if I click open, it will ask if you want to change the frame rate. We click change, and it should pop in there. I can then also import the music. So I mentioned that this is what I have. I've got Dakiri. Click open. Okay, there you go. So that's my music. So let's have a go at looking at adding it through. So let's put the podcast in first. There you go. This is the audio part of the video, and I know it kind of starts around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this bit off. And the fun bit about Davinci is that there's keyboard shortcuts that you can use, and B is the blades. I can click blade. You can see it's turned into a blade. If I click it there, it will cut it. And there's a couple of things that you can do once you've cut. You can carry on cutting, or you can just remove stuff as you go along. One of the things you can do, so to change from blade to a selector, you press A. One of the things you can do is you can just hit delete. If you hit delete, it will remove that clip and move everything forward. Alternatively, Control Z, what you can do is you can just take it out and leave the blank space. And sometimes I want that, and you'll see why later. So for now, let's do that. Let's just delete, remove it. I can drop my audio track, subtitle. There you go. It will more or less match, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I want to cut the clip. I know it's at 29:24. So let's move this to 29. There you go. That's it. Doesn't really need soft skills. There you go. The last thing in developer one is an open plan office around that bit. So if I click here, I can play it and listen.
The last thing developer.
So I know it's there. Okay. Okay, I want to clip it from there. Let's sit here. Okay, I'll put a blade at this point, and then I will look for where the ending bit is. There you go.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. They really don't have a deep interest in the business domain. Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay, so that's where I want to end it. Click B again. I can click here. There you go. I now have a clip that I want to use in this bit. So here, I can hit delete. That remove everything. And from here, I can hit delete. That will remove everything. I can now remove all the subtitles, or I can right click and I can say delete track. That's fine. It's just a clip that I want. At this point, I want to render it. Click on rendering. And then I select the YouTube defaults. I can create the file name. I want to make sure it's MP4. Can create the file name here. Okay, so that's what it's going to do. I'm going to add to a render queue, and I'm going to render all, and it will create that one small clip. So now that I've completed my clip, I can see it's in here. That's a brand new one. It's 51 meg in file. Right. From here, I want to create my audio clip. I have this clip now. I have this clip. What I want to do is I want to transcribe this, just this bit. And I can do that very easily. I go into my Otter and go there. I can import that particular file. Drop it here. You can see it do that. It will consume and then it will process. In the meantime, let me go back here. What I might want to do is I might want an intro. So let's go into effects library. Oops, sorry, it's already up. And I want to add the beginning bit, the introduction bit. The one I normally use is this one. Where is it? That one, text box swiping. I can drag and I can put it up here. Okay. The problem is that it's going to play at the same time. So watch what happens when I do that.
The last thing developers want is to be an open plan office.
Okay, we don't want that. So we want this to say something else. So in my text, you can configure it up here. In my text, I want to say on the payroll with Maz Iqbal. And I want to move this to the right so that it doesn't happen at the same time. So watch.
The last thing.
See? So I have managed to add that to the beginning now. I want the resolution to be square so that I have a space at the top to write my label and space at the bottom for the transcription. Otherwise, the automatic closed caption will take up a big part of the screen. In order to create a square output, you click on this cogwheel. I go up here to custom and I just change this to 1080. Save. Now notice it will become a square with black bits on the top and at the bottom, and that's fine. That also allows me to add something else at the top here. And I can add two things. I will add some basic text here. If I click on it, I can say do that. I can make it left. I can make it much smaller. I'd like it bold. Let's make it a bit bigger. I can put it right at the top here. Five. There you go. I can have it that way. I can push this all the way to the end so that you can see this displayed all the way to the end. You have the start, you go to the end, and watch, hold it again. So the intro, and then
The
label
last
at
thing
the top.
developers want.
Okay, so I want to add another little label up here, and I can drop this right on top here, and I can change this to on the payroll. You can see if you check here. Okay, on the payroll. I can make it smaller. I can make it a bit bold, and I can put it up here if that's what I wish. I can change my font as well. So there you go. And if I highlight it all the way to the end, it too will stay all the way to the end. I always like to have a summary in here. So I'll put another text box here once that's finished, and I might say okay, you can see it if I go here, by the way, and that's maybe too big. Right, let's change it a bit. Okay. Okay, so this might be what I want to finish up. And finally, I might want a little scrolly thing to drive people to my website, and this is one. Slide in and scroll. Go. So highlight here. I don't want anything here, and I want just here. Here. So I want it all in caps. I want it condensed, and I want it light. Let's look. Okay, maybe a bit bigger. There you go. Next, I want to add music, and that's when I pick this up. I can add a track here. What I also want is, I want just watch. Okay, I'm going to add one more track, a stereo track, and I'm going to add another one here. I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, the reason why I may not be doing this correctly, but I want it loud here, and I want it to be kind of soft while the talking's going on. So if I reduce the resolution so that you can see what I mean, right? So I want this bit to be long. So I'm going to take a blade out, I'm going to cut it there, and then I'm going to cut it there so that you don't, because I don't want the empty space at the back, right? I'll delete that. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to chop the middle out, if that makes sense. Let's just chop it here for now. Press A to take away the blade, and Control X to remove that in the middle. And I want it to get loud again at this point. So cut it here. A. Remove that. Okay, so I've got that now. In this bit, the one background music, I'd wanted to play while we're talking. So blade there. Remove that. Control X. There you go. Now that's a profile I want to see. So let's see how it sounds like, okay?
The last thing developers want is.
So note that this is also really loud. So what I want to do now is I want to go to Mixer. Oops, sorry. Mixer's already on. And I want to look at audio A3. Can take it right down to about 40. That's a bit soft. a bit.
The last thing developers want is to be an open.
That sounds about right, about 35. Okay, then what I might want to do here also, I might want it to, let's just increase this a little bit. I might want it to fade out. And over here. Fade a bit. Okay, so here you go.
The last thing developers want is to
Perfect. Now let's look at how it's going to end up.
in the business domain. Yeah? And that's fine.
Perfect. I've finished doing a clip. The clip is 1 minute 24. What we're going to do now is we are going to render it. One more thing. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the subtitles. Let's go back and let's go back here. Now, you should notice that this is now finished and it should be done. Let's have a look. Don't ask again. It's actually done. So you click on Master Developers Clip. This is the subtitle tracks. So what I normally like to do is I normally like my subtitles to start at the beginning of the sentence. So what I might do is I might hit edit. I'll edit it again later. So let's just do that, just to make it really easy. At every comma and every paragraph, okay, so let's say this is how I want it to look. And what I can now do is I hit done. I can export the text. It's SRT 140. You can configure this. Click continue. And then you can see, right? So let's go back. So once you've saved it, what I can do is I can add, right click here and add a subtitle track. So that's a new track. I can go into here and import developers clip. There you go. Open. And there it is. And then I can drop it here. Okay. You are going to have to modify it because it's not going to be exact. So that's what I do. I listen.
The last thing developers.
Oh, we need to move this down. So I highlight that. I go into style. I want to take it down. I know it's 131. It goes down to the middle. I might make the size a bit smaller, teeny bit bigger. 2. Okay, so let's listen.
The last thing developers want is to be an open plan office. They're sitting in front of their computer with all the noise and they're coding, and then somebody or other comes and.
Okay, it might be. Go back to caption, and then somebody comes and ask them a question. Let's see how it plays out.
And then somebody or other comes and asks them questions.
Okay, we don't want questions twice. We can remove that. You can do I like Control X, because that means I can drag this, make this a bit bigger. I can drag this here. So let's try again.
Noise and they're coding, and then somebody or other comes and asks them questions.
It's not quite right. Ask them questions. It is.
The other comes and asks them questions.
Okay, there you go. So I carry on doing this until it's all done. And I have a file that's got a beginning, that's got music at the beginning. It fades while the conversations going on, and then it comes up again towards the end. I've got subtitles that are there in exactly the place that I want, and now I'm ready to render it. So as before, I go into render, and here this is slightly different from before. I now have all of this at the top. You can choose to exclude the subtitle files if you wish, because there's some, like YouTube, for example, when I render it for the actual full podcast, I don't have it in a square format. I have it in the proper landscape format because YouTube will automatically transcribe it for me. And I only pay particular attention at this point because I want to configure how the captions look exactly on my little clips. So here, what I do, because I'm creating a little clip here, I can go into export the subtitle, burnt into the video. Right? Now when I'm done, is finish clip, add to render queue, and I will render it as I did before. And this is what you will notice as it goes on. So it's all completed now. You can tell it was done in 59 seconds and the clip's ready to go. Let's have a quick look. Finish clip. That's the final one. So let's have a look.
The last thing developers want is to be an open plan office. They're sitting in front of their computer with all the noise and they're coding.
So there you go. That's the completed clip. It's now ready to be uploaded into your favorite social media. And I just discovered this. If it's less than 2 minutes, 20 seconds, you can also put it on Twitter. There you go. I hope you have found it useful. And once you get it going, it can be quite easy because Davinci allows you to save projects. And every time I want to create a new clip, I just kind of use the same project. The soundtrack's already there. My intro, my outro is kind of there. I just need to change some of the text, make sure I remember to change the labels, put the subtitles in correctly, match it, and then I'm done. So thank you for listening in, and I hope you have found it useful. Thanks a lot.